Ailing Tycoon hires a young nurse, requests she pose as his daughter for a day. Then, Lily Thompson sat at her small kitchen table in her cramped apartment in Dayton, Ohio. The faint glow of a single lamp lit up stacks of unpaid bills and job listings scattered in front of her. Her hands shook as she opened another overdue notice, her heart sinking. A wave of dizziness, which had bothered her for weeks, hit again, but she ignored it. She had no time to think about her health, she needed work. Anything to stay afloat. She glanced at the stale piece of bread on her plate, her appetite gone. Rubbing her forehead, she eyed the pile of medical brochures on the counter. They mocked her, reminding her of treatments she could never afford. The quiet of the apartment felt heavy until her phone buzzed, snapping her out of it. An unknown number flashed on the screen, and she hesitated before answering. "Hello?" she said cautiously. "Is this Lily Thompson?" a sharp, professional voice asked. "Yes, this is Lily," she replied, gripping the phone tightly. "This is Margaret Wells. I'm seeking a private nurse for my husband, Edward Wells. Your name came up." Lily's mind spun. Edward Wells, the billionaire who built Wells Innovations. She hadn't applied for such a job, but desperation pushed her doubts aside. "I'm interested," she said, her voice steadier now. Margaret's tone stayed brisk. "My husband needs care immediately. Can you come to our estate today for an interview?" Lily glanced at the clock. It was late, and the address in Westport, Connecticut, was hours away. "I'll be there," she said, brushing off the questions swirling in her head. "Be punctual. I don't tolerate tardiness," Margaret said before hanging up. Lily stared at her phone, her pulse racing. This felt too good to be true. But she couldn't say no. Not now. With what little strength she had, she packed a bag. A quick look in the mirror showed her pale face and dark circles under her eyes. "This is my chance," she whispered, forcing her shaky legs to move. She grabbed the address and headed to the bus station. Her mind buzzed with hope and worry as she left Dayton behind, bound for the unknown. Lily stepped out of the taxi and gaped at the Wells estate. The mansion loomed grand and powerful, with tall stone walls and endless gardens. Huge windows gleamed in the sunlight, but the place felt cold, almost unwelcoming. She clutched her bag tightly and walked toward the enormous front doors. A woman opened the door, Margaret Wells, with piercing green eyes that sized Lily up. "You're late," Margaret said sharply. "I'm on time," Lily replied, keeping her voice calm. Margaret said nothing, just waved her inside. The house was stunning, shiny marble floors, high ceilings, and fancy chandeliers. But it felt empty, more like a showroom than a home. As they passed a maid and a gardener working quietly, Margaret ignored them. Out in the yard, "John, aren't you done yet?" Margaret snapped at the gardener. "Yes, Mrs. Wells," John mumbled, avoiding her gaze. When Margaret looked away, he glanced at Lily and whispered, "Watch yourself. This place isn't what it looks like." Before Lily could respond, Margaret called her back inside. They climbed a wide staircase, the air growing heavier with each step. In a shadowy bedroom, Lily met her patient, Edward Wells. The billionaire lay in a bed, surrounded by beeping machines, his skin pale and his breathing weak. Lily's heart sank at the sight of him. "This is my husband," Margaret said coldly. "He's stable. Just do what you're told." As Lily stepped closer, Edward began coughing violently, his body shaking. "He's fine," Margaret said, brushing it off. But Lily knew better and quickly adjusted his position to help him breathe. Her fast actions calmed him, and he relaxed. "Thank you," Edward whispered, his brown eyes warm with gratitude. Margaret's shoes clicked loudly. "If this is your best, maybe you're not right for the job." Edward's weak voice cut through. "She stays." Margaret froze but said nothing, leaving the room. Lily exhaled, her heart still pounding. She turned to Edward, fixing his pillow gently. "I'll take care of you, Mr. Wells," she said softly. "Call me Edward," he replied with a faint but kind smile. Despite his warmth, Lily felt uneasy. Something was off in this house. Weeks passed at the Wells estate, and Lily settled into caring for Edward. Each morning, she entered his quiet room, hiding her own growing tiredness. Her dizziness got worse, and exhaustion weighed her down, but she kept going. She couldn't let her problems get in the way of Edward's care. Soon, she noticed strange things: missing medicines, skipped doses, and new prescriptions with no explanation. When she asked Margaret about it, she got cold, dismissive answers. "Focus on your job," Margaret would snap, her eyes daring Lily to push further. The tension in the mansion grew thicker every day. Margaret's rudeness became bolder, but Lily and Edward grew closer. In his clearer moments, he shared bits of his life, successes and regrets. "I chased money my whole life," he said one night, his voice soft. "But it's the things I didn't do that hurt the most now." Lily listened, offering quiet comfort as he opened up. She saw him not as a billionaire but as a man carrying heavy burdens. Margaret hated their bond. "You're too close," she snapped one day. "You're just the nurse. Know your place." Her words hurt, but Lily stayed strong. Edward needed her. One night, as Lily adjusted Edward's oxygen mask, he stirred. His eyes were sharp, focused. "Lily," he said, his voice shaky but clear. "There's something I need you to do." "What is it?" she asked, leaning in. "Pretend to be my daughter," he said, "just for one day." Lily froze, unsure if she heard right. "Your daughter?" "Yes," he whispered. "Please, Lily, I don't have long, and I want to know what it's like to have a family." Her throat tightened at the pain in his eyes. "Why me?" she asked softly. He smiled weakly. "You're kind, strong. You remind me of what I could have had." Lily hesitated but nodded. "If it means that much to you, Edward, I'll do it." Relief spread across his face as his eyes closed. Lily sat beside him, her mind racing with questions. Why her? What was he hiding? She didn't know, but she promised herself she'd honor his wish. The next morning, the mansion felt heavier than ever. Lily was in Edward's room, gently fixing his blankets and giving him his medicine. His breathing was rough, and his eyes stayed closed most of the time. She spoke softly about the sunny morning and the flowers she'd seen outside, hoping to comfort him. The calm broke when the door flew open. Margaret stormed in, her heels clicking, followed by a man in a suit carrying a briefcase. Her face was tight with anger. Her eyes locked on Lily. "You," Margaret snapped, pointing to the chair by Edward's bed. "Move." Lily paused but stepped aside, her stomach twisting. The man, a lawyer, set a stack of papers on the table by Edward's bed. "Edward," Margaret said, her voice suddenly sweet but fake. "It's time to sign the papers. You know how important this is." Edward's eyes opened slowly, dull but aware. "What papers?" he asked, his voice barely there. Margaret waved at the documents. "The new will. I've made it easy for you. Just sign." Lily's gut screamed, something was wrong. She stood quietly, watching closely. Margaret's tone was sharp, like she was hiding something. "I'm not signing," Edward said weakly but firmly. Margaret's fake smile faded. "Don't be stubborn, Edward. This is for your own good." He coughed, struggling to sit up. Lily moved to help, but Margaret's glare stopped her. "Let him do it himself," Margaret hissed. "You think I don't see what you're doing?" Edward whispered, his voice fading. "This isn't about me. It's about the money." Margaret's face turned cold. "Don't be foolish. I'm protecting the estate." "No," Edward said, shaking his head. "You want it all." The room felt like it was choking Lily. She could see it now. Margaret was pushing Edward to sign away his $5 billion fortune. The more he fought, the angrier Margaret got. "I won't let you," Edward murmured, coughing hard. His body shook, his breathing weak. "Edward," Lily rushed to him, ignoring Margaret. She propped him up, adjusted his mask, and helped him breathe. His coughing eased, but he looked frail. Margaret turned to the lawyer. "This is what I deal with," she snapped. "He's fading, and she's useless." Lily's anger flared. "He's worse because you're stressing him," she shot back. "He can't handle this now." Margaret's face twisted. "How dare you? You're not family. Stay out of it." Edward, still gasping, raised a shaky hand. "She stays," he whispered. Margaret's eyes flashed with rage. "No, Edward, this stops now." She turned to the lawyer and nodded toward the door. 2 security guards walked in. "Escort Miss Thompson out," Margaret ordered. Lily's heart sank, but she knew fighting was pointless. As the guards approached, she looked at Edward. His lips moved, but no sound came. "I'll find a way to help you," she whispered. On her way out, she saw a folder on the table, medical reports and something else. Quickly, she slipped it into her jacket. The guards led her out, and the mansion doors shut behind her. Lily stumbled onto the driveway, her head spinning. Her legs gave out, but a strong arm caught her. "Easy," said John, the gardener, helping her sit on a low wall. He handed her a water bottle. "What happened?" Lily paused, unsure if she could trust him. "Edward's in trouble," she said. "Margaret's pushing him too hard. And there's more going on." John frowned, glancing at the mansion. "Sounds like her. She'll do anything to get what she wants." Lily nodded, gripping the stolen folder. When John left, she opened it, her hands shaking. Inside was a DNA test showing Edward had a biological child. The next page said the child had the same rare illness killing him. But there was no name, no address, just questions. Lily's heart raced. Did Edward know? If not, how could she find this person? John had said Edward was moved to a hospital in Boston. It was her only clue. "I have to help him," she said, her resolve growing. Lily reached the Boston hospital hours later. The tall building felt overwhelming, but she pushed forward. At the front desk, she steadied her voice. "I'm here to see Edward Wells," she said. "Are you family?" the receptionist asked, looking her over. Lily hesitated, then said, "Yes, I'm his daughter." She showed the DNA test as proof. The receptionist nodded. "Room 412. Guilt twisted in Lily's stomach, but she had to see him. In Edward's room, machines hummed, and tubes surrounded him. His frail body seemed lost in the big hospital bed. The beeping monitors were the only sign he was alive. Lily took his cold hand, her heart aching. "Edward," she whispered, "it's me, I'm here." He didn't move, but she held on. She pulled out the DNA test. "I found something," she said softly. "You have a child, Edward. Someone out there needs you." Her voice cracked. "I don't know if you hear me, but I'll do everything to help." Lily sat by Edward's bed, the monitors beeping steadily. His hand felt fragile in hers, his face pale and still. "Edward," she said softly, "you asked me to be your daughter for a day, so here I am." She took a deep breath, picturing a moment that never happened. "Do you remember that day at the lake?" she said, her voice shaky. "The water was so clear, and we skipped stones, laughing when they sank. You showed me how to make them bounce, and we cheered when I got it right." Her eyes filled with tears. "We sat by the water, eating ice cream, watching the sun dip low. You said to always chase joy, even when life feels heavy. You said the stars would guide me home, no matter how lost I felt." Lily's voice softened. That's the dad you'd have been, Edward. I wish we'd had more days like that. A tiny twitch in Edward's hand made her gasp. Edward? She whispered, hope surging. He didn't move again, but that small sign kept her going. The door slammed open, and Margaret stormed in, her face furious. What are you doing here? She demanded. Lily stood, unsteady but firm. I'm here because he needs someone who cares. Margaret laughed coldly. You're nothing but trouble. Her words stung, but Lily held her ground. If you cared, you wouldn't be pushing him to death, Lily said. You only want his money. Margaret's eyes narrowed. You're in over your head. Get out. Dizziness hit Lily hard, and her legs buckled. She grabbed the bed to steady herself, but her vision blurred. Get rid of her, Margaret snapped to someone nearby. She's done. Days later, Lily woke in a bright hospital room. The soft hum of machines was calmer than Edward's room. Sunlight streamed through the window, warming her face. She blinked, confused, her body weak but alive. A nurse smiled at her. You're awake. You gave us a scare. What happened? Lily asked, her voice hoarse. You collapsed, the nurse said. You've been out for 3 days. Lily's mind raced. Edward Wells, is he okay? The nurse's face softened. He's stable, but still critical. Lily exhaled, relief mixing with worry. She noticed a folder on the table, her stolen documents. Her heart pounded as she reached for it. Inside was the DNA test and a new note. It listed a name, Emma Grayson, and an address in Vermont. Lily's breath caught. Edward's child. She had to find Emma. For Edward's sake. As soon as she was strong enough, Lily left the hospital. She headed to Vermont, the address clutched in her hand. The small town was quiet, with rolling hills and cozy homes. At a modest house, she knocked, her heart racing. A young woman answered, her face pale but kind. Are you Emma Grayson? Lily asked. Yes, Emma said, curious. Who are you? Lily took a deep breath. I'm here about your father, Edward Wells. Emma's eyes widened. My father? I never knew him. Lily showed her the DNA test. He's sick, Emma, and so are you. Emma's hand shook as she read the papers. I've been ill, she admitted. Doctors don't know why. Lily explained everything, Edward's illness, his request, and Margaret's schemes. Emma listened, tears in her eyes. I want to meet him, she said finally. Lily nodded. Let's go. They returned to the Boston hospital together. Edward was still frail, but his eyes lit up when he saw Emma. Emma, he whispered, his voice weak but full of love. Dad, she said, taking his hand. Lily stepped back, tears streaming down her face. Edward's wish had come true, he had his daughter. Margaret's plans unraveled when Emma's existence was revealed. Lawyers stepped in, ensuring Edward's fortune went to his true heir. Lily recovered slowly, her own illness finally treated. She visited Edward and Emma often, their bond growing. Edward passed months later, peaceful with Emma by his side. Lily smiled through her tears, knowing she'd given him the family he longed for. Her life changed too, a new job, a fresh start. As she watched a sunset one evening, she remembered Edward's words. Find beauty, even on the hardest days. She knew she always would.